Hey, it's Chris Jenkins, credentialed member of the media, covering the Carolina Panthers for Charlotte Vibe. And today, Wednesday, Carolina Panthers are getting prepared for the New England Patriots, and I have a few updates for you all. First, starting with let's go with transactions that we've had recently. And some of these transactions actually started yesterday. Carolina Panthers signed quarterback Josh Love to the practice squad. He was previously a walk-on at San Jose State, and then he also, at San Jose, once he became a junior, was able to get some playing time as a starter, and then as a senior he was able to be the starter. Had a pretty good season, so much so that he was named the offensive player of the year in that division, for his conference I should say. And then moving on to the college ranks, he went undrafted, played for the Los Angeles Rams for a moment. And then let's go to your other transaction. That would have been releasing wide receiver Devin Smith from the practice squad. So also want to give a shout out to Zane Gonzalez. Zane Gonzalez was named NFC Player of the Week for special teams. Why? Because Zane only was 4 for 4 in Atlanta, which resulted in the victory for the Carolina Panthers. And in that 4 for 4, he had 2 impressive field goals. All of them were impressive, but 2 very long field goals, more than 50 yards. He had a 51-yarder, and then he had a personal record that was a 57-yarder. And that 57-yarder was the second longest in Carolina Panther history. Now let's go through that injury report, which I have here in my hand. So starting with the players that did not participate in practice, 0. We're doing good this far in the season. Week 9, and we don't have anybody that did not practice today. Now let's go to the limited participant in practice. We had quarterback Sam Darnold. He was limited with his shoulder and also the concussion. We had cornerback Stanley Thomas Oliver. He was limited due to his toe. Now, normally I do not go over the list of full participants in practice, but we have quite a long one, so I will read it to you today. We had Jermaine Carter, Cam Irving, Stephon Gilmore, C.J. Henderson, Terrace Marshall, Matt Paradis, and Shaq Thompson. Those were all full participants in practice today. So with that injury report, let's go back and talk about a few guys that I mentioned in that injury report. Number 1 is Sam Darnold. Looking to be out this week and not looking to be available this Sunday. But if you want to, without expert doctor's opinion, have to kind of guess on what's going to happen with Sam, the fact that he was able to be limited in practice today and did not participate in practice does seem promising. It's not a guarantee for anything, but just that information itself, Coach Rue echoed, seems promising for him to be able to come back, and good indication for his recovery. Now, Josh Love was someone that I mentioned earlier in terms of transactions. We brought him on to the practice squad this week. And, of course, you want to jump and say, okay, just Josh Love, he's going to be somebody that helps with the quarterback situation. Now, earlier I already talked about his credentials, and he's not someone that was brought here to make an immediate impact. He was not someone brought here because of Sam Darnold. Coach Matt Rule said that Josh was someone that they had already had their eyes on, and this was now an opportunity to bring him on. Now, P.J. Walker will be the quarterback this Sunday. And what does P.J. have to work on? Well, Coach Rule says, number 1, he wants him to have some better discipline. Of course, the red zone performance comes to mind, and today there was discussion again about the red zone performance last week where he threw the ball at I forget exactly where, but I know it's pretty close within the 10-yard line. Almost was an interception, and Coach Rule talked about how he yelled at P.J. and P.J. yelled back, and both of those guys saying, it's just, for one thing, they've got a good relationship going back to college. So that may afford them a little different communication than some other players may have. But he also said, hey, P.J. Walker is a tough guy, and he responds well to those kinds of things. And they, looks forward to seeing him play this Sunday against the New England Patriots. And for P.J., what he has to work on is not going for the home run ball. And he says that's an urge that's hard to resist, but it's something that he has to keep in check, and something that when he's playing out there, he has to realize, hey, go to your check down, run the ball, do whatever you can do to keep things going, but don't lose the ball, don't create a turnover, and in some cases, like when you're in a red zone, give up the possibility for scoring. And this week, he knows right now that he's going to be starting Sunday behind me versus the Patriots. So that helps him because, yes, last year he did have an opportunity to start with the Detroit Lions, but that was something that didn't come about until the last minute, and says that knowing this ahead of time gives him the ability to get in more of a groove throughout the week, get into a rapport with his players, get into the huddle, get them used to hearing his voice, get them used to his cadence, and everything that's about him leading this team and being a starting quarterback, he's going to get used to this week. And certainly he's put in more hours this week. I asked him specifically, is Sam helping anymore? He said, him and Sam always talk throughout the week, telling, PJ will talk to Sam about some things that he sees, and Sam certainly tells PJ things that he sees and that they'll work on. But this week in practice, PJ's focus, try to be more efficient, try to be quicker with his reads, and this kind of goes back to him resisting that urge for the long ball. He mentioned going, not just staring down that guy that's the deep home run ball, but also coming quickly to his second read, coming quickly to the running back check down, and going through those things are something that he's going to be aware of as he's practicing this week and trying to be more efficient about. Last but not least, got a chance to talk to Robbie Anderson. I was excited to talk to Robbie Anderson because I haven't been able to talk to him in person all season long. And he gave me a lesson today in journalism specifics, as he gave me a lot of good jokes, but still it was good to talk to him. I opened up by asking him, hey, Robbie, how are you feeling? He said, good, blessed, grateful to be playing. He's like, thanks for asking. Thanks to Joe Person for asking the follow-up question about, well, specifically, how are you feeling after that hit from Sunday against the Atlanta Falcons? And he says he's feeling good. At that moment of the hit, it was more the wind being knocked out of him, had him slow to get up. But once he was able to get himself, the wind back in him, I guess, for lack of better words, he was fine. I mentioned tweeting during the game that not long after he got on the sidelines, he was running back and forth down the sidelines. And he said that another reporter asked him about, it seemed like he was trying to stay away from the trainers or something like that. He said, well, he knew they wanted to get him tested for the concussion. He knew he was fine, but he did what he had to do. And you see that he was out there back quickly for the very next drive. And asked him about, hey, hits like that, it was some chatter online and about, hey, maybe Robbie, gain a few more pounds. That may help. I never wanted to see this happen to you. And he said, man, gave me a lot of good lines from it. But he said, hey, 175 solid. He's been this weight since he's coming to the league, and he's going to remain at this weight. He's not in a, now let me go ahead and earn or put on some extra pounds. He said, guys, 400 pounds, 350 pounds have gotten concussions. So he doesn't feel like that's something that he has to do in order to protect his body a little bit better. And about the touches that he's been having, he was only targeted one time, which was that vicious hit that he had this Sunday versus the Atlanta Falcons. Before Robbie said, hey, if they're winning, then he's not going to be putting the emphasis on his touches and figuring out he'll be fine because he's a team player. But he said that something that helped him with the game on Sunday versus the Falcons was knowing that the game plan did not call for a lot of passes. So he's maintaining his focus. He's maintaining a good level of optimism about this team. About this season. And, hey, let's celebrate the fact that they're doing so good in the conference itself. So I will be eager to see, and maybe you all will be watching as well, with the fact that he's played with P.J. Walker back in college this Sunday versus the New England Patriots, that may be, even though he may not be expecting 10, 15 targets, maybe he is expecting a little excited about being able to be back out there on the field with the guy that he played with in college. And hey, it'd be good to see Robbie get back into a groove of some sorts if he is able to this Sunday. So that is your report for this week. Hopefully you have hit the like button. If you haven't, go ahead and do so. Hit the subscribe button. I will also continue to have my one-on-one player interviews coming up this week. I will have Zane Gonzalez, our player of the week. So if you have any questions that you'd like to submit for me to ask him, please leave it in the comments below. Shoot me a message, and I'll do my best to get those questions answered for you. It's the only way I can be man of the people, which I love to be, love working for the fans. So please ask any questions. I'm Chris Jenkins at Bank of America Stadium, reporting for Charlotte Vibe.